Right.
I'm still 30 years back.
I think the time now it's just moving so much quicker.
It feels like it's moving so much quicker, but it's impossible. Nothing's impossible, but
We will gradually.
all right.
You sound like a recording. Okay, good morning. Mazel tov on the again.
Baruch Hashem, thank you, Rabbi.
Okay. I think next year the class is going to be in Yerushalayim with Mashiach.
Amen.
Amen.
Are we paid? I didn't see it yet. Good morning, good morning. Okay, so I want to go back to the thing you mentioned yesterday. I went through it quickly. I said it's a little bit complicated, but I'm going to try to explain it a little bit better than yesterday. This Maamar is all about the difference between the neshama and the guf, Torah and mitzvahs, difference between Gan Eden and the world of Tchias HaMesim, and many differences, which will soon make a summary of it all. I told you there's a chart in the back. We'll go over it together. So one of the things we learned yesterday was the beginning of Ois Daled, and it says that one of the differences between Torah and mitzvahs is Torah is something which is different for everybody. It's a mitzvah, an obligation, but not equal to every person. In fact, the two ends of the spectrum are huge. You could be yotze the mitzvah of learning Torah by learning one pasuk in the morning and one pasuk at night. And someone who has the time and the capability to learn more has to learn day and night, not waste a minute. A lot of people don't know this, by the way, that for a man, the mitzvah is to learn day and night, which means even if you learn the whole day, 12 hours, but he didn't learn at night, he wasn't the kind of the mitzvah. He's supposed to learn by day and he's supposed to learn something at night. So one chapter of Torah, even one pasuk of Torah in the morning, and one pasuk of Torah at night, for a person who doesn't have the knowledge, who doesn't have the time, he fulfills his obligation. And then there's all the gray area in between. So many people, some people 5 hours a day, 2 hours a day, 1 hour a day, and so on. Mitzvahs are different. Mitzvahs is the same for everybody. The difference is in kavanah, but in terms of the practical mitzvah, there's no difference between the way Moshe Rabbeinu put on tefillin and the way I put on tefillin. No difference between Moshe Rabbeinu shook a lulav and esrog and the way we shake lulav and esrog. The only difference is what's going on inside my head and my heart. That's when we're worlds apart. But the fact of the actual mitzvah is the same. So how did he explain it? Because mitzvahs are Hashem's ratzon, and in ratzon there are no parts. And Torah is Hashem's wisdom. Wisdom is something which is finite, and it has many parts to it, and therefore it could be adjusted to each person accordingly. Just try to explain that a little bit better. What does it mean that ratzon has no parts? Of course, we said ratzon is the infinite. Something which is infinite is not made up of parts. Let me try to explain it a little bit better if we can. When we say ratzon in this context, we mean a will that's higher than chachma, that's not based on logic. Otherwise, that's logic again. It means a will that's just, I want, and it's beyond the realm of logic. That kind of will, that's the infinite. So the difference between something which is logical or not is, take for example, a person who wants, let's say I want to earn $90,000 a year. So we said yesterday, $90,000 is one number, but in essence, it's 90 times 1,000. Or if you want, it's 1,000 times 90. If you want to break it down to smaller units, it's so many millions of pennies, which means that in essence, being that this amount is made up of units, it's as if I have 90,000 desires. I want $1. Like I said, it'll take too long for me to say, what do you want? Oh, well, how much you want for a salary? Okay, mister, get ready for the next 24 hours. I want $1, I want another dollar, I want another dollar. I'll say it 90,000 times, it's going to be very time consuming. So we say 90,000, but in essence, if 90,000 is made up of 90,000 units, then it's as if I have 90,000 wills. And therefore, if I would get not 90, but 45,000, I could say it's half of what I wanted. 45% of my desires were fulfilled, and the other 45% were not, 50% were not fulfilled. And the same thing is with anything that has a finite measure. It's the same thing. Let's say someone says, I want an air conditioner that can cool this room, that it's going to be it's going to be so cold in this room that the thermometer is going to say it's 30 degrees in the room. It's a measurement. And being that it's a measurement, it's made up of units. If it's made up of units, then my will is made up of units. That means I want this, and this all together. So anything, whether it's money, whether it's clothing, whether it's a house, whether it's any kind of desire, and even when it's, and if it's chokhmah, if it's wisdom, we know there's deeper wisdom, there's more superficial wisdom, which means in a sense there are units in wisdom, there are levels in wisdom. So when a person wants something, whatever they want, being that it's made up of parts, my desire, what I want is made up of many parts. And if part of it is fulfilled, it means some of my desires were fulfilled and some of them were not fulfilled. But when you talk about ratzon, which is higher than seichel, and that's the case with everything. I remember once walking into an office, I saw a sign and it said, I don't want to be a millionaire. I just want to live like one. What does it mean? I don't need $1 million in my bank. If I would have all the privileges that I need, all the privileges of being a millionaire without having $1 million, I can buy whatever I want. I can go wherever I want. I can fly whichever country I want to. And I don't need the money. So when I want something, I don't want the object. I want its value. I want its content. That's the desire. When a person has a desire of something, it's based on logic. So I want the content of the coat, that it's beautiful, that it keeps me warm. I want the content of the home, that it does this for me or that for me. It's a place where I feel comfortable, I have my space. All these things, if it's a content, it's something that has any kind of value or purpose or meaning, it has parts. It's made up of parts and units because it's finite. But when there's a will, that's not, we don't have, I think, an example of that in the Gashmistical world. When we say that Hashem wants me to put on tefillin, it's a desire that has nothing to do with logic or intellect. It's just Hashem's desire. Like we said before, choice from the essence of Hashem. So what he wants is the tefillah. It's like a one thing. It's not something that is finite, that has any kind of content to it. It's just, this is what I want. And if I don't do it, even if I do 3/4 of it, I do 90% of it, 95% of it, I haven't done what Hashem wanted. So if a person puts on tefillin, and in a way that according to Allah, you're not yotze the tefillin, it's not considered that you did half a mitzvah. It means you didn't do anything at all. If there's a letter missing in the tefillin, let's say, you don't say, well, there's only one letter missing, so I did 95% of the mitzvah. No, the whole thing wasn't done. So that's what I was saying, that mitzvahs come from Hashem's will. So will doesn't break up into parts, and therefore it's equal for everybody. Torah is Hashem's wisdom. Wisdom in itself is made up there. Like Shlomo Melech gave 3,000 mishalim, meaning there are 3,000 layers of depth in wisdom. And that's one scenario, but really, in essence, there's much more. There's millions of layers of depth in wisdom. So it's finite, and therefore it's applied to each person accordingly. That's Torah. And Ratzon comes from above wisdom, it's just the essence of Hashem. And if it's the essence, there are no parts, there's no units, it's infinite, and therefore it applies to each person all the same. Did I make you more confused or more understood? More confused, yay. What?
If we have 613 mitzvahs, and it's if the Ratzon is one, how can we say that we have like many mitzvahs?
No, but here Hashem has 613 Ratzon.
Yeah, but it's not one, it's like many.
Many retainers, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever is that, right? Whatever he wants, it's one thing. But the fact that Hashem wants 613 things, you're asking, how can Hashem want different things if it's...
Yeah, if it's the one and it's like, it doesn't have any parts. We are saying that.
Deep question, okay. A deep question.
You can want many things.
Yeah, but that's like the opposite of like unique and like.
Right.
Like, almost
It's like
today, and then I want like
a
something else.
person wants many things because it's
Probably, it's probably something along the lines that even though Hashem's Ratzon probably is in essence one, because the truth of the matter is, that's where the Torah was given. First Hashem said the whole Torah as all 10 commandments in one breath, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was again repeated, each one individually. One of the reasons for that is because in essence, the Torah is one and all the mitzvahs are one. So I guess it's something along the line, I'm not sure, I have to look it up, I'm not gonna make up my own things, but something along the lines that the will of Hashem for mitzvahs is really one, but it manifests in 613 paths or something like that. But it's a good, the question is better than my answer. Ariella, what did you want to say?
I don't know, like in the beginning, you were comparing what a man's platform would be able to, and you were saying with man, they kind of come in parts to complete something that someone wants. And
I'm saying the things we want are based on logic, right? If I want a coat, I have a reason. It's going to bring me, it fits me, it makes me look good, it makes me warm, it'll protect me from the rain, whatever it is. If I want a house, it's a place I could live. Anything we want is because of the content that it carries, not because I want this. For example, if I can get that content without the physical object, if I can get the money without going to work, then I would pick up the money. I wouldn't do the hard work, which means what I want is the money, not the work. And do you really want the money? No, I want to live like a millionaire, not to be a millionaire. I want the benefits of it. In other words, the things that we want, generally speaking, is because it carries a certain content. And that's what I want. Now, the content is always going to be something that is finite, and there are levels within it and units within it. So it's made up of many parts. So that means that initially when I want it, it's as if I want 10 different things, or I want 100 different things, or 1,000 different things. Because it's just like I said with money. If it's $100, it's like saying I want 100 things. There are 100 desires for $1. If I break it down to smaller units, I'll say it's 1,000 desires for 1,000 different pennies. So if I get part of it, I can say part of it was accomplished. Because I have 1,000 desires. 500 of my desires were fulfilled, 500 not. But when a person has a desire, when Hashem has a desire, which is above logic, it's not that Hashem wants the tefillin because of a certain content. He wants the tefillin because he wants the tefillin, the way it is and the way it appears and the way it looks. And if I do it differently, then it's not a half of what Hashem wanted. There's no halves. To begin with, it's one absolute oneness that I want. It's not something that can be broken up into parts. If anyone can come up with an example of Gashmi, it's fine, but I think in Gashmi, we don't really have an example of something that we want, and it's not based on logic.
Converts get asked all the time, why do you want to become a Jew? And for us, it's so hard to answer that question because the other person can't see any logical reason why I want to convert, and I don't see any logical reason why as well, but it's such a strongly driven thing that, they're looking for something to grasp at, to explain this whole phenomena. And
So spiritually, we could say that the desire for a yid to connect to Hashem, the desire for a convert to connect to Hashem, which is coming from the same place, you know what it says, that the reason why a convert has the desire to connect to Hashem, because he already has that neshama that is connected.
right.
So it's like a child wants to connect to a parent, or a parent loves a child. So it is a desire in a sense that's above logic. It's coming from the etzem. It's because my essence and his essence are one.
Right.
So that is some in a way, some sort of an example, yeah.
Because you can't do half.
What? There is no
Not
half.
example, you can't do, there's
Right.
no half.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Either you are or you're not.
Right.
Okay, so now we'll continue in Ois Hey.
Rabbi, in terms of doing a mitzvah for Shabbos, like, say you're not really keeping Shabbos, you're doing some things, but some things you're not doing. So what does that mean? Am I not keeping Shabbos, or am I keeping Shabbos?
Thank you for that time. Baruch Hashem at the end of the year. So you're asking, okay, so there's a mitzvah like Shabbos that has so many details, kiddush and malachas, and some things I do, something I don't do. Is that considered keeping Shabbos? But we know that, of course, every detail of Shabbos that I keep is precious to Hashem, even if I don't keep the other things. I can't tell you.
That's
It's a secret.
When you could draw that out.
Yeah, that everyone said by bringing that he had a teacher, whenever he didn't know the answer, he would say, when you'll get older, you'll understand.
You could draw it out, like the base of English. There's so many things we need to do in the base of English. If the base of English is not here, does that mean we're not fulfilling Hashem's will?
Well, that's related to not just question that there's how can there be 613 separate mitzvahs?
Yeah.
But this is a stronger question. This is in each mitzvah itself, there are details.
Yeah.
And we do see that the Rebbe said, light Shabbos candles. And even though this person is going to be doing everything else, which is not allowed to be done on Shabbos, it doesn't take away from their lighting Shabbos candles. And if they make Kiddush, the Kiddush is Kiddush. And if they go to shul and they daven the davening of Shabbos, they're doing the right thing, even though they're not doing all the rest. I mean, it's one of the reasons why people don't do that, because they think, if I'm not doing the whole package, it's nothing, either everything or nothing. And the Rebbe says no. So the answer is in my head, but I don't know how to articulate it. I have to process it and figure it out. And if you figure it out, you're welcome to come back with something on Monday. You have a whole Shabbos to think about it.
Wouldn't it be both of the things you said?
Which is
The first thing that applies to your example of tefillin, that if you don't fulfill every part of it, then you're not fulfilling the mitzvah. But at the same time, when you're looking at another mitzvah like Shabbos that has many parts to it, it doesn't take away from each part that you're doing, but you're still not fulfilling a whole mitzvah. But that doesn't mean that any piece of Shabbos that you do is worth any less.
So how would it work? It's as if to say there's one thing which is the general mitzvah of Shabbos, and then there are the details. It's a mitzvah, it's not Torah. So if there's a mitzvah, it should be either everything or nothing.
Maybe it's like each mitzvah, it's like one unit. For example, like in Israel, there's many women that cover their hair, but they use pants, let's say. So they are fulfilling the mitzvah of like tznius, of covering their hair, but it's like a different.
But they can say that maybe the word tznius is a general concept, and then there are details. So maybe something along those lines is a general idea of Shabbos, and then there are the parts of Shabbos.
And each part is one unit, let's say.
Each part has its own unit. Okay, got to figure that out. That's so simple.
Like tefillin is one mitzvah by itself, but Shabbos is like a general, and then there's many many units on the mitzvah.
Right, could be. Okay, I just want to say while we're on the subject, just by the way, that the tefillin you put on the head, the tefillin you put on the arm are actually two separate mitzvahs. Which means if a person, for example, chas v'shalom, can put on the arm, let's say something happened to his arm, or God forbid lost an arm, he still puts on the head and he's observing the mitzvah. Or let's say a person doesn't want to put the tefillin on his head, only on his arm, for whatever reason may be, he's still observing one mitzvah. It's like two mitzvahs in a sense. Okay. Kol Yisrael Yesh Lahem Chelek. Now let's go back to the pasuk, which is the pasuk with the Maamar Chazal at the beginning of the Maamar, that every year has a portion of the world to come. Now we can see why. Hagam Shagilo De'olam Haba. Even though the light of Hashem that's going to be revealed in Olam Haba, which is Olam HaTchiyah, the world of Tchiyas HaMeisim, Unaila Yoseh Magilu de Gan Eden. It's so much higher than what will be revealed in Gan Eden. Not just so much higher, but infinitely higher. That the neshamas who are in Gan Eden for thousands of years will be coming down to the time of Mashiach. Nevertheless, even though it's higher, this Gili will be L'Kol Yisrael to every Jew. Nobody will be excluded. Why? Ki began Eden, what's in Gan Eden is Gili the Torah. Over there, mainly, it's what's revealed to me is the light of Hashem that came about through my Torah study. Torah Shalom the Meilam Hazeh, the Torah we learn in this world, that creates this light, and that's the light that's going to be shining in Gan Eden. And over here, we understood the Torah on the level that we understood it here. And over there, we'll understand it so much deeper, and that's where all the pleasure will be coming from. And now, there's also the reward of mitzvahs there, but the main reward is the Torah. But in the world of Mashiach and Tchiyas HaMeisim, Yagili the mitzvah shemekayim achshav. Then the light of the mitzvahs that we observe now, that's the main thing that's going to be shining. And being that mitzvahs, every year has mitzvahs, like we said before, that even Kol Yisrael have mitzvahs like a pomegranate. Therefore, Kol Yisrael Yesh Lahem Chelek. So that's the answer. And being that mitzvahs is something which relates to every year, because that's the infinite, so there's no difference. Torah is finite, and that's why it applies to some, and some have it, some don't have it. So also in terms of the reward, Gan Eden, which is the main reward for Torah, some will have it, some won't have it. And Tchiyas HaMeisim, which is the reward for mitzvahs, just like everybody has mitzvahs, everybody will have the reward of Tchiyas HaMeisim. And this answers the second question. Second question was, how come if the world of Tchiyas HaMeisim, at that time, is going to be so much higher than Gan Eden, how is it that Gan Eden is dafka by detaching from the body, and Tchiyas HaMeisim is dafka by connecting to the body, the opposite? Because we learned before that mitzvahs are mainly connected to the guf. Torah is mainly connected to the neshama. It's something more spiritual, more abstract. Learning. Mitzvahs is more physical, it's connected to the guf. So therefore, being that this is the time that we're going to get the reward for mitzvahs, the way to receive it is dafka with the guf and through the guf. However, who's going to benefit from that time? Only the guf or the neshama also. So the Rebbe says, of course, Yesh Lahem Chelek De'olam HaTchiyah Gam LaNeshamas. It doesn't mean that only the guf is going to benefit. It's going to be because of the guf, but who's going to benefit? The guf and the neshama, because the neshama will be in the guf again. So this is similar to Maamar Azal. There's a famous Gemara that there was a big debate. What is greater? Torah is greater or mitzvahs are greater? And we know that the way we resolve a debate in Torah, amongst Torah scholars in Sanhedrin, is by voting. And this is not chas v'shalom because we believe in a democracy, but because of the pasuk in Chumash that says Achir Ram Lahates, that the way the Torah should be ruled is where you take all the opinions together and you follow the majority of opinions. So they had a counting, And what happened? They concluded the following: Gadol Talmud, that Torah is greater. Why is Torah greater? Shemei de ma'aser, because Torah leads to action. So which is greater, Torah or action? Torah is greater because it leads to action. So basically it means by doing mitzvahs, you don't become a Torah scholar. But by being a Torah scholar, that'll lead you to do mitzvahs. So in a sense, we're still implying that there's an advantage of mitzvahs over Torah. And because mitzvahs are so great and Torah will lead me to the mitzvahs, that is what makes Torah so great and greater than mitzvahs, because it'll lead me to do the mitzvahs. So what does that mean? That means in a certain sense that the mitzvahs enhance the Torah. Because of the mitzvahs, my Torah is considered greater. It's like the guf and the neshama. Because of the guf, the neshama will be enhanced, and the neshama will be able to be enjoying and experiencing something much greater than the neshama would be able to be enjoying on its own.
Rabbi?
Yeah.
I understand kind of difference between Torah and the body, but I don't understand why there's a separation between Torah and mitzvahs, because mitzvahs come from the Torah. You can't separate the two.
Right, but Torah is an intellectual experience, and mitzvahs are practical. Even a person who understands nothing could observe all the mitzvahs just by doing them.
Right.
And Torah is all about thinking and understanding and learning. That's why it's two separate things.
But it comes from the same source. It comes from Torah.
Yeah, everything comes from Torah.
But because it's physical, that's where the separation.
Right, so normally I would say the fact that it comes from Torah actually supports the idea that Torah is greater, because Torah is the source,
Right.
and mitzvahs come from Torah. But here we're saying the opposite, that what makes Torah so great, because it'll lead to the mitzvahs. So in a sense, the mitzvahs are enhancing my Torah. Because it leads to mitzvahs, that makes my Torah so great. So when the neshama goes into the guf, when Mashiach will come, it'll be a reward for mitzvahs. The one who will benefit mainly is going to be the guf, but because the neshama is giving life to the guf, the neshama will become greater as a result of that. It's almost like saying that right now the neshama is providing spirituality to the guf. When Mashiach will come, the guf will provide spirituality or greater spirituality to the neshama. But there is an example we can even relate to now. It is a famous Maamar from the Rebbe Rashab, where he says, when a person is learning Torah, but not learning Torah just as the purpose of studying and learning, but he's actually preparing to give up psak din. There's a case here in front of us, and we have to know the halacha. So you start learning and looking up the svarim. What is this opinion, that opinion? How does it apply in this case? In that case, because it's relevant to psak din, he works harder on it. And he understands the inyan deeper. Let me explain what this means. It's really a fascinating thing. When you think of Torah and a bezdin and a rabbanim, it's very different than a courtroom, a civil court. This is considered a tremendous responsibility. You, as the judge in a Torah courtroom, in a bezdin, are being responsible to say, what does Hashem want in this case? Who is obligated to pay? Who is exempt from paying? Who is liable? Who's not liable? Is this kosher? Is not kosher? Could these two people get married or not? And whatever's going to happen is going to be on your account because of what you ruled. So on one hand, it's pretty frightening. If a person is a true Yirat Shamayim, a God-fearing person, they would say, forget it. I don't want to do this. So there's a famous story, and there's actually two stories, and both have a very powerful lesson. And I think both were with the Frierdiker Rebbe, that there was a sheikhet, someone who slaughters animals. And he once came to the Frierdiker Rebbe and said, I really would like to change my job because I was thinking about this responsibility. You know, when you shecht one cow, the amount of meat that comes from one cow provides food for hundreds of people. And the laws of shechita are so delicate, so precise, and so detailed that if I make one little mistake and chas v'shalom, the shechita is not kosher and the meat is treif, that means all these hundreds of people are eating treif on my account. So it's still such fear of me that I'd rather not do this. So the Free Rebbe answered this person, so who should do it? Someone who's not afraid. So I'm going to go back soon to explain this. That's what I just said to you is very similar to what it says here. The other story, which also has a very powerful lesson, was the Free Rebbe answered the person, don't scratch where it doesn't itch. If your skin is itching, you scratch it. But if it doesn't itch and you're scratching it, it's going to start itching. And basically means don't provoke your thoughts with things that you don't have to. Very often we do that to ourselves. Worry, anxiety, what's going to be, maybe I'm this, maybe that. A lot of the time, in fact, by a lot of people, maybe even most people, that's what happened. Our mind just goes loose and we sort of create our own problems. So it's a good thing to remember, don't scratch where it doesn't itch. Now going back to the first answer is, so what do you tell a person that is afraid to be a dayan, afraid to be a judge in a courtroom? So the Rebbe Rashab says something amazing. He says, when a person is a Yerushalayim and they're afraid to chas v'shalom give the wrong verdict, they want to make sure that what they're going to do and what they're going to rule is according to Hashem's will, that in itself will guide their brain to understand the subject in its true depth and come up with the right answer.
Wow. That's incredible.
I knew a rabbi who lived in a different neighborhood. I used to live in Old East New York. An old rabbi from the old generation, and he would give a hashgacha, I think on a bakery. He had a custom that whatever he gave the hashgacha on, he would eat a little bit from it. Why? Because sometimes you give hashgacha, okay, it's good for them, they can have it. He ate it himself. And he ate himself, he knew that he would want to make sure that it's going to be the way it's supposed to be. So if a person feels the responsibility that I'm going to chef this meat, and chas v'shalom if it's treif, hundreds of people, that's the right person for the job. That's the Free Rebbe's answer. Who should be the one that's not afraid? Yeah.
So how is it that there are these rabbis who make rulings for certain people and they're not necessarily for others? Meaning, like, how is it that Hashem's will and desire is not the same for all Jews?
What,
Does that make sense?
what you're talking about is, let's say there's machlokes in halacha. One opinion says this is permissible. One opinion says it's not permissible. Let's say beans on Pesach. Sephardi Jews eat it. Ashkenazi Jews don't, because there's two opinions amongst the halachic authorities. And we have a rule that when there are two opinions amongst halakha, in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, when it was Sanhedrin, if there were two opinions, they would go to the Sanhedrin. Then the Sanhedrin would vote on it. They were like a central headquarters of halacha for the whole Jewish world. They would rule on it, and everybody followed it. But after that, it started to become that there were different halachic authorities in different cities and different countries. So every place is obligated to follow their halachic authority, which means according to Torah, they're both emes. Remember I told the story about this person who had a lung problem and the doctor said he can't live? Were you here when we did that?
I think so.
And then I think it was Tzemach Tzedek told him to go move to Eretz Yisrael, because over there, the Beis Yosef, who was the Sephardic halachic authority, is the one that's ruling. And according to his opinion, you could live. So he lived another 20-something years. So basically, both are emes. But if Hashgacha practice, you end up being a student of this person, or living in this person's community, or under this person's jurisdiction, that means that for your neshama, this is the right thing, and for your neshama, that's the right thing. So when you say that a Rav will paskin for some people one way, other people other way, either has to do with the circumstances, like you should fast on Yom Kippur because you're healthy, and you can't because you're not healthy. That's not different halacha, it's just a different circumstances. And then there's also different halacha because of the person's background, the person's community, and say, oh, you're a Sephardi, you can eat this food. You're Ashkenazi, you can't eat this food. So what do we see from this example? That the fact that I have to give a ruling about how to do a certain mitzvah, that in turn enhances my ability of understanding the Torah about the subject much deeper and really reach the depth of it and the truth of it. So that's an example that we can say Torah is greater because it leads to mitzvahs. In other words, because this learning that I'm learning now is related to something practical, that's going to have an effect on my brain, that my brain will understand the subject deeper. Of course, it's only for Yiras Shamayim who really cares about not chas v'sholom giving the wrong verdict. Yesh Lahem, based on this, we can say that the advantage of Torah, the way it's going to be in the times of Mashiach, the teachings of Mashiach, Shnei Inyanim. There'll be two things that, in that way, the teachings of Torah of Mashiach will be superior to what we have today. Number one, first of all, new depth of Torah will be revealed, which was never revealed before in the time of Golus. And that'll be revealed through Mashiach. The second thing is, because then we'll get the ultimate reward for mitzvahs, and the infinite light of Hashem will be revealed as a result of our mitzvahs observance. That'll be an additional enhancement of the Torah, which means the Torah will be enhanced through observance of mitzvahs. So this is like the neshama and the guf. That first of all, when Mashiach comes, when Mashiach will come, the real essence of our soul will be revealed. In other words, what we learn about today, the neshama is like this, and the neshama is like that, and the neshama feels this, unconditional love. We learn about it, but we don't really feel it. When Mashiach comes, the true depth of our soul will be revealed, and we'll feel what's really going on inside, in addition to the feeling and experiencing consciously what the neshama is really all about. There'll be an additional reward to Kabbalah neshama gam igilu de malas haguf, that the advantage of the guf over the neshama, that the guf comes from Hashem's essence. Not only the guf will sort of reveal that, but that will be felt in the neshama. So the neshama will have an additional advantage, its own, and what it gains from giving hashpah to the guf. And which we said before, that the guf comes from Hashem's essence. That's Hashem's choosing. The guf is Hashem's choice that comes from his essence. So that's invested in the guf. But being that the neshama gives life to the guf, the neshama will get that, will sort of absorb the mila that the guf has.
So that light is coming from Mashiach, or it's coming from the mitzvahs that we're doing?
It's coming from the mitzvah we're doing, but Mashiach will be the conduit at that time, that through him, all this will be revealed in the world. The light of the neshama, the light of the guf, the light of Torah. Just like Moshe Rabbeinu. So many things happened. He taught us Torah, he took us out of Mitzrayim, he performed the miracles. So there were different things happening, but all the conduit through which all this happened was Moshe Rabbeinu.
Oh, okay. So when that infinite light is revealed from our mitzvahs, the neshama
will benefit from it, right?
Okay.
Will absorb it.
Got it.
So first of all, the neshama will have its own advantage, that its real, true essence will come out in the open. And number two, that the superiority of the guf will also be absorbed by the neshama.
So it's both.
What?
Both the neshama and the guf.
And the neshama and the guf, right? The guf for sure, and the neshama also. Like Torah mitzvahs. Torah is greater than mitzvahs because it's more spiritual. But then through the mitzvahs, Torah has an advantage. Torah gets the advantage of the mitzvahs as well.
You're saying our bodies will be more refined to be able to accommodate the neshama at its peak, at its highest.
No, more than that, this root of the neshama will be revealed. And what is the root and the source of the neshama?
Yeah.
Hashem's essence, who chose the guf. That'll be revealed. But who's going to benefit from that? The pashto is the guf. So Rebbe is saying, not only the guf, this will bounce back on the neshama, and the neshama will be able to benefit that light. Because the truth is like this, even now, our guf has that advantage. But now we don't feel it. We don't feel it. The guf is a guf. It's physical. On the contrary, the guf attracts us to physical pleasure and all that. But this is probably the reason why from the times of the Baal Shem Tov, the guf started to get much more respect. Years ago, one of the ways of tshuva was like crushing the guf and people like doing things that the guf would suffer, not eating, not sleeping. People went in golus. I'm not talking about stam, Joe Schmoes. I'm talking about tzaddikim. This is what they used to do. They used to travel sometimes for 2-3 years, wander, and they would not sleep in a bed or they would not eat properly. It was all part of a process of weakening the guf, and by weakening the guf, the neshama becomes stronger because the guf is an interference. And the Baal Shem Tov introduced a new thing, and that was sort of revolutionary in the time. And that is, don't do that to the guf, because the official halachic reason is because we're too weak to handle that. It's going to hurt us. Like years ago, there were people who used to fast days, one day after another. Today, you have a few fast days a year, and you start fasting. As soon as the day is halfway through, you already have a headache, and you don't feel well, and you got to lay down. And these are people who used to not just fast; they would fast and be learning the whole day. It was a different physical makeup. So, but everything that happens physically has a spiritual reason. Spiritual reason is then the guf was an interference. As we get closer to Mashiach, the spiritual advantage of the guf is starting to sort of come out a little bit. And therefore, we have to serve Hashem with the body, not by excluding the body.
So what's iskafia?
Iskafia is not doing things that are going to deprive the body of what it needs, but iskafia is mainly about not indulging in physical pleasure. Indulging means over the top, more than what you need.
Well, we always eat, or let's say we always do more than what we need.
The truth is, for us, iskafia is not the way it used to be iskafia for people in those days. It's true, we're different. We're in a different level. And a lot of the things which years ago were considered luxuries, today for us it's part of our necessities. So you can do iskafia by not speaking Lashon Hara and not getting angry. It's also iskafia. There's a lot of other kind of iskafias besides doing things like not giving the physical body what it needs. But today, if a person's gonna, move into an apartment and not have furniture, I'll take a milk box and I'll put a board on top of it. I'll take a big piece of plywood. I'll sleep on it. Today, that would be not Hasidish. That would be against Yiddishkeit, and it's going to interfere with being the proper Jew. And so today, years ago, there was room for such thing. Today, not. In other words, the needs that we have today physically are different than what they had in those days. And the reason for that is because spiritually, the guf today is able to give us something which it couldn't give us before. Before it was more of an interference. Now the guf is, if you do the Torah mitzvahs with the guf, you can actually reach a higher spiritual level. When Mashiach comes, it'll be out in the open completely. So today we said the opposite. You're not allowed to hurt your guf. Your guf has to be healthy and complete and well. And even if you're looking at it from a spiritual perspective, but not in a way that you're weakening the body. Sometimes some people ask me, but I know when I'm dieting, I'm not eating a lot of food, I actually feel better. Well, if you feel better, gesundheit. But if it's weakening you and you're saying, but it's good because it's crushing the guf, no, it's not good, not today. It's not our avodah today.
Didn't the Rebbe say to a Hasid who asked him about fasting or something like that? The Rebbe said it was better to start eating and stop, like take a few bites. It was harder to take a few bites and stop than it was to just completely abstain from food. I remember that.
Could be, I don't know the circumstances, I don't know who it was, but again, these are the kind of things, if yes, it's not about weakening the body in any way, it's about not indulging or not becoming too passionate about just the physical physical food. In other words, if someone says, okay, the body is the main thing, so I'm gonna eat every kind of delicacy on the planet, that's not about, you're not interested in the ruchnis of the body, you're just interested in physical pleasure, and that's gonna take a person to the wrong place. A good Shabbos, everybody.
Shabbos Shalom.
I guess not yet. She's planning on coming, but she will.